Hi, I'm Greg Hunter, and this is the weekly news wrap-up for Friday, August 10th, 2012. There is a brand new U.S. intelligence report out raising urgency over Iran's nuclear program. Now, the White House has once again reaffirmed its commitment to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. Iran has repeatedly said their nuclear programs are for the peaceful production of energy. Now, commenting on this new disturbing U.S. intelligence report is Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak, who, quote, says, a nuclear Iran is developing before our eyes. He also said there is not much time left for deciding. It's widely believed he's talking about deciding to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. This will be a colossal mess when it happens. Meanwhile, in Syria, the Syrian civil war there rages on. The Syrian army is on the offensive in that country's biggest city, Aleppo, and it is bloody. Now, the Syrian prime minister reportedly defected. Now, the rebels there say that was a big win, and also shows the Syrian administration there, the Syrian, power, Hafez al-Assad, the president there, his administration unraveling. Well, meanwhile, the Iranians sent a special envoy to Syria to take his picture with Hafez al-Assad to show their continued support of Syria. And Syria has big backers in Russia and China as well. This is bloody. This is nowhere near ending. More than 20,000 Syrians have died in the fighting that started about a year and a half ago. Also in Europe, the debt and banking solvency crisis, the crisis of bankrupt nations and also insolvent banks that you don't hear very much about, continues on. Mario Monti, the unelected prime minister of Italy, wants more bailouts and more money printing to hold the European Union together. And he wants Germany to go along. They're the biggest economy, and they need Germany to say yes to all this. But Germany is really hesitant. They had a bout of hyperinflation in the early 20s, and that basically set the basis for Hitler coming to power. Now, that is very destabilizing. Also in Germany, we have a constitutional court that is trying to decide whether or not all this money printing and bailouts are even constitutional, even legal. Of course, Mario Monti says, forget about democracy and constitutional courts. We have to press on and, save the European Union. What he's really saying, press on and save insolvent banks at the expense of the people. That's called austerity. Now, speaking of bankers, Boston Fed President Eric Rosengren is pitching open-ended quantitative easing. Yes, open-ended. Money printing to infinity, or at least for a very long time. He says that you have to have a substantial magnitude. This money printing has to be of a substantial magnitude, to kind of kickstart the economy. But many of my sources say, sure, they want the economy to, get kickstarted, but they're also propping up, too big to fail, insolvent U.S. banks. They already have 0% interest rates for the banks through 2014. They have government-sanctioned accounting fraud for all the assets, real estate, mortgage-backed securities on the books of these banks, all to do what? To prop them up. And it's going to be at the expense of you and me in austerity over here in the U.S., higher inflation, and all that's going to come to roost. How can there not be inflation when you have a major Federal Reserve president calling for open-ended money printing, quantitative easing, open-ended? It's unbelievable. There is good news and bad news in the housing market. First, the good news that's splattered all over the mainstream media, and that is, according to one brand new report, housing prices increased by a little more than 7%. Now, here's the story you didn't hear from the mainstream media, and that is delinquency rates are spiking, the highest they've been in more than a year. You know what that means? More foreclosures in the pipeline. Can you say bottom bouncing? And finally, CNN just registered its lowest primetime ratings in 20 years. I used to work for those folks. There's a lot of nice people over there, but the management is a mess. Jim Waters, who was the president of CNN, stepped down. I guess he's going to spend more time with the family. Terrible ratings. They have new anchors and young people and other people on set, and they keep giving you the same content over and over again, and people are turning away. That's why people are getting more of their news from alternative news sites on the internet, and hopefully they're turning to places like usawatchdog.com Boy, that's a selfless plug, isn't it? Well, that's the way I see it. I'm Greg Hunter. Thank you for supporting this site.